Hello student, welcome to the lecture on business level strategy. After studying this chapter, you will be able to explain the production or operation strategies, discuss the research and development plans and policies, understand the corporate retrenchment strategy, review the turnaround strategy, define functional strategies, describe the generic strategies. What is business level strategy? There are many organizations that run many business verticals at the same time. For example, PepsiCo has many products which have their own brand image and are responsible for their respective annual profits, losses and management like Pepsi, Uncle Chips, 7-Up, Mirinda, Quaker Oats, etc. All of these products have a different brand image, capture a different market segment, play within different pricing strategy, and they even have different market competitors for each of their products. Hence, a separate strategy, an entirely separate and dedicated team is required to run each business vertical and is responsible for its profits. The strategy required for each product in such a scenario is called business level strategy. But as a whole corporation, Pepsi Corporation would have its general vision and mission and policies it will live by. These are corporate level strategies. So now you know what is the difference between business level strategy and corporate level strategy. Corporate strategy is not the sum total of the business strategies. Corporate study is concerned with the shape and balancing of growth. It does find a reflection in the business strategies because it defines the overall corporate vision. Business strategy provides competitive strategies for a business to identify its competencies in the market it is targeting and provide value to the customers. According to Michael E. Porter, two factors determine a firm's competitive strategy are the overall industry structure and the positioning of the firm within the industry structure. What determines the industry structure? 5 factors determine it: threat of new entrants, threat of substitute products or services, bargaining power of suppliers, bargaining power of buyers, rivalry among existing competitors. On the other hand, a firm's positioning within the industry is determined by competitive advantage and competitive scope. There are usually two approaches by a firm for competing in a market: the low-cost approach and the differentiation approach. Low-cost approach is the one where the firm can provide similar products to the customers at prices lower than the competing firms. Differentiation is when the firm can provide unique and superior value products to the customers and charge a premium price. There are a combination of business level strategies which are effected at different operational and functional levels in organizations. Production or operation strategies. Production or operation management (POM) is the core function in the business firm. It is the process of converting the raw material or the input into a value enhanced output. This function might sound like one being associated with manufacturing firms, but in principle it is applicable to all kinds of firms. For example, in a business consultancy firm, the raw material or the input would be the client's problem for which he is seeking your consultation, and the output would be the solution you would, as a consultancy firm, provide to him to enhance his business performance. Similarly, in a college or university, the raw material or the input would be the students taking up admission at the college, and the value enhanced output would be the refined, well-educated, well-trained graduates that it produces for the job market. Functional strategies in POM must guide decision regarding the basic nature of the firm's POM system, seeking an optimum balance between investment input and production or operations output, location, facilities design and process planning on a short-term basis. The facilities and equipment component of POM strategy involves decision regarding plan location, size, equipment replacement and facilities utilization that should be consistent with the main company's strategy. Similarly, the purchasing function should also be addressed in POM. What kind of raw materials should be purchased? Who are the best vendors? What quantities should be purchased at once? Functional strategies provide guidelines for ongoing production operation. They are meant to encourage efficient organization of production or operations resources to match long-range overall demand. Often this component dictates whether production or operation will be demand-oriented, inventory-oriented, or subcontracting-oriented. If demand is cyclical or seasonal, then POM strategy must ensure that production or operation processes are efficiently geared to this pattern. A bathing suit manufacturer would prefer inventories to be at their highest in the early spring, for example, not the early fall. If demand is less cyclical, a firm might emphasize producing to inventory, wanting a steady level of production and inventories. When demand fluctuations are less predictable, many firms subcontract to handle sudden increases in demand while avoiding idle capacity and excess capital investment. After this, another strategic question is the long-term capacity built up of the firm. Again, there are many methods of this: joint ventures, mergers, adding capacity, and so on and so forth. All of these decisions never function in silos, meaning they affect each other. Decision of a firm's competitive strategy, long-term build-up, etc. affect the firm's financial decision, marketing decision, location decision, etc. Research and development strategies and policies. With increasing rate of technological change in most competitive industry, research and development (R&D) has assumed a key functional role in many organizations. In the technology-intense computer and pharmaceutical industries, for example, firms typically spend between 4 and 6% of their sales rupees on R&D. In other industries such as the hotel or motel and construction industries, R&D spending is less than 1% of sales. Thus, R&D may be a vital function, a key instrument of business strategy. Although in stable, less innovative industries, R&D is less critical as a functional strategy than is marketing or finance. Table 5.2 illustrates the types of questions addressed by an R&D operating strategy. First, R&D strategy should clarify whether basic research or product development research will be emphasized. Several major oil companies now have solar energy subsidiaries with R&D strategy emphasis on basic research, while smaller competitors emphasize product development research. Please consider the table at the background for a few moments. This table captures the various questions that the R&D strategy makers of firm face. Does the firm want to be an innovator of the best and the latest, or does the firm want to focus efforts on producing what's most feasible to earn profits? Does the firm want long-term or short-term profits? That is, does the firm want to extract oil or create solar energy devices? Clearly, the former will give you quick profits, but it is a short-term idea. On the other hand, we all know that solar energy is the thing of the future. Soon as non-renewable energy sources get exhausted, the world will largely depend upon sources like solar energy, which require R&D investment now, but will ensure the firm's profit for the long term. Does the firm want to control all its R&D itself, or just contract out particular ideas on which it would like to get some R&D done? This decision again is interconnected with all the other strategies and questions discussed above. If the firm wants to be a long-term innovative leader, it might make sense to have in-house R&D. Will the R&D be marketing oriented or product oriented? For example, companies like Duff and Unilever invest huge amounts of money for marketing related R&D to study consumer behavior. They also invest money on R&D in producing new products. They have introduced many breakthrough products in the past, changing the way people expect products to work for them. Such R&D intents are called offensive postures, where firms produce newer products, the kind of products that no one else is currently producing and which are better than all the other offerings in the market. Consumers naturally love to try out these enhanced products. Then the competitors rush to inculcate these new features into their products too. This is called defensive R&D. When firms use R&D only to respond to new products already introduced by their competitors. All of these decisions that we have discussed above, which are crucial decisions a firm should take and should be clear upon, have a major impact on the finances of a firm. Offensive R&D can take a lot of money and time and can be a continuous drain on the firm's profits for many years until it produces a breakthrough. Marketing related R&D too takes a long time as it collects huge data and studies it for many months under many different cultural scenarios. The strategy of vertical integration, example, backward or forward expansion in function, is another area where R&D policy becomes particularly relevant. The technologies involved in providing inputs or subsequent processing of outputs associated with changing functions would normally require policies to provide for resources and expertise in the new areas of activity. Another area would include the relative focus of effort on performing basic or applied research. Few companies will authorize a research department to study anything its scientists may be interested in. But the extent of concern with short-term commercialization versus theoretical knowledge which may lead to major breakthrough is an issue of some importance. If a firm is going to undertake basic research, it must be prepared to accept certain financial outcomes and commitments, longer-term risks with potentially no payout or long payback periods, and enough capital to exploit discoveries if and when they are made. Of course, a firm may need to engage in some basic research if the nature of its business requires it. Example, most pharmaceutical firms depend on basic research. Corporate retrenchment strategy. Corporate strategists attempt to devise an overall plan for greater corporate success. Strategists evaluate all factors affecting the corporation's performance, from internal components like employees and chain of command to external forces such as competition and customers. While corporate strategists prefer finding ways to expand business, they often face tough economic times and need a more conservative approach. Retrenchment strategy provides corporations a chance to regroup, preserving resources for the greater good. Function. During corporate retrenchment, the corporation reduces the scope of its activities so that it can manage its financial operations in a more tight-knit fashion. It is mostly aimed at making the firm utilize its resources more optimally and reduce any kind of wastefulness to a minimum. Such a reduction usually includes decisions like selling the assets of the firm to raise money or to reduce spending money on paying their installments, etc., discontinuing unsuccessful product lines, dismissing employees, restructuring debt, or even liquidating the firm. This strategy is often called downsizing or right sizing. Ideally, retrenchment is only a temporary measure designed to save money and allow the firm to pursue corporate advancement once the financial situation improves. Divestment. A serious form of retrenchment. Divestment involves a firm selling one or more of the businesses from its corporate portfolio. This is to raise money from the sale and to use that money for more urgent business decisions. The firm takes the resulting money and reinvests it into one of its more promising businesses with the influx of cash, hopefully securing a better future for not only the individual business but the overall corporation as well. Essentially, divestment cuts away the deadwood so the rest of the corporate tree can grow. Bankruptcy. Bankruptcy may also serve as a form of corporate retrenchment. That is when a firm has lost all its money and has no hope for saving the firm anymore. During bankruptcy, a corporation receives protection from creditors, allowing the firm to restructure its debt obligation to increase cash flow. Bankruptcy buys the corporation time, providing a chance to engineer a new strategy to reclaim financial success. Corporations only consider bankruptcy once divesting and other forms of retrenchment failed. Liquidation. No corporation wants to face liquidation. The most drastic form of corporate retrenchment, liquidation, involves selling or closing the entire corporation to recover whatever funds remain. The firm ceases to exist. With all employees fired and all products and services discontinued, corporate strategists see liquidation as a last resort and will do whatever possible to try and avoid taking that final step. Thus, we have seen here the various scenarios under which a firm may need to take its steps back as a result of unexpected or unfortunate factors. These situations may call for a sudden change in the regular functioning of the firm and of changes in its regular strategies and missions. Turnaround strategy. Turnaround strategy enables senior managers of underperforming companies to understand the critical causes of poor results in order to stem losses and restore growth. A well-crafted turnaround strategy leads firms to quickly achieve their full potential. It would generally involve a major change in the company's behavior towards its work policy, its working process, structure, etc. Typically, this involves removing costs, restructuring finances and redefining strategic objectives. Turnarounds often call for building a stronger management team, making acquisition or devising an exit strategy. What are the objectives for a turnaround strategy? The overall goal of turnaround strategy is to return an underperforming or distressed company to normalcy, that is, achieve acceptable levels of profitability, solvency, liquidity and cash flow. Turnaround strategy is described in terms of how the turnaround strategy components of managing, stabilizing, funding and fixing an underperforming or distressed company are applied over the natural stages of a turnaround. To achieve its objectives, turnaround strategy must reverse causes of distress, resolve the financial crisis, achieve a rapid improvement in financial performance, regain stakeholder support and overcome internal constraints and unfavorable industry characteristics. What are the components of a turnaround strategy? The components of turnaround strategy are managing the turnaround in terms of turnaround leadership, stakeholder management and turnaround project management. Stabilizing the distressed company by ensuring the short-term future of the business through cash management, demonstrating control, reintroducing predictability and ensuring legal and fiduciary compliance. Funding and recapitalizing the distressed business, fixing the distressed company in strategic, organizational and operational terms. Functional strategies. A functional strategy is the short-term game plan for a key functional area within a company. Such strategies clarify grand strategy by providing more specific details about how key function areas are to be managed in the near future. Functional strategies must be developed in the key areas of marketing, finance, production or operations, R&D and personnel. They must be consistent with long-term objectives and grand strategy. In fact, functional strategies are in a sense the subunits of the main company strategy because they turn ideas in action. That is, they are strategies that convert plans into reality. To better understand the role of functional strategies within the strategic management process, they must be differentiated from grand strategies. Three basic characteristics differentiate functional and grand strategies: time horizon covered, specificity, participation in the development. Time horizon. Functional strategies cover a shorter period of time than the grand strategy. Since they are accurate plans of action, they need to be divided into realistic time periods over which the action must be completed, and therefore these strategies also require timely revision to assess the success achieved and the next action to be undertaken. This shorter time horizon is critical to successfully implementing a grand strategy for two reasons. First, it focuses functional managers' attention on what needs to be done now to make the grand strategy work. Second, the short time horizon allows functional managers to recognize current conditions and adjust to changing condition in developing functional strategies. We now come to specificity. What does this mean? A functional strategy is more specific than a grand strategy. Functional strategies give specific guidance to managers for accomplishing the grand annual objectives. They outline what should be done in each functional area if the annual and ultimately long-term objectives of the company are to be achieved. Specific functional strategies improved the willingness and ability of operating managers to implement strategic decisions, particularly when those decisions represent major changes in the current strategy of the firm. These strategies help the firm to stay on track and evaluate if it is reaching its annual long-term goal or not. If it is not, it can take correctional functional strategy decision in order to steer the company towards its actual goals. These also enable different functional units to ensure that they work properly in association with each other and complete what is expected of them. Participants to development. What does this mean? How does this work in functional strategy? Different people participate in strategy development at the functional and business levels. Development of functional strategy is typically delegated by the business level manager to principal subordinates charged with running the operating areas of the business. The business manager must establish long-term objectives and a strategy that corporate management feels contributes to corporate level goals. Key operating managers similarly establish annual objectives and operating strategies that help accomplish business objectives and strategies. Just as business strategies and objectives are approved through negotiation between corporate manager and business managers, the business managers typically ratifies the annual objectives and functional strategies developed by operating manager. This thus helps ensure that every single person working in the company contributes to the company's major goals. In that sense, every employee's contribution matters and is essential for the goals of the business. Business manager must also ensure that the results achieved by different people coordinate well to achieve profitability for the firm. A key task of strategy implementation is to align or fit the activities and capabilities of an organization with its strategies. Strategies operate at different levels and there has to be congruence and coordination among these strategies. Such congruence is the vertical fit. Then there has to be congruence and coordination among the different activities taking place at the same level. This is a horizontal fit. The work of every department and employee must coordinate with the work of other departments and employees and also with the aims of the grand corporate strategy. Thus, following can be different types of functional strategies in an organization. Strategic marketing management means focusing on the alignment of marketing management within an organization with its corporate and business strategies to gain a strategic advantage. Strategic financial management means focusing on the alignment of financial management within an organization with its corporate and business strategies to gain a strategic advantage. Strategic operation management implies focusing on the alignment of operations management within an organization with its corporate and business strategies to gain a strategic advantage. Strategic human resource management means focusing on the alignment of human resource management within an organization with its corporate and business strategies to gain a strategic advantage. Strategic information management means focusing on the alignment of information management within an organization with its corporate and business strategies to gain a strategic advantage. Tactics for business strategies. Tactics are plans of when and where to put the actions of the strategies in place to achieve the best results. These can be timing tactics, market location tactics, etc. Now we'll see how these tactics actually affect the business result. Timing tactics. Every business move is as much about the idea of the action as it is about the timing of the action. To take the right step at the right time is important. If you are introducing a breakthrough product, you might want to introduce it right at the start of the season and create a hype where before its release, so that the consumer don't get much time to consider other products and are dazzled by your new offerings. But being the first mover is not always the answer to success. You can enter the market late but with good product offerings. You can dominate the market and provide a stiff competition to the leader. Like Vodafone entered the market after Airtel but has provided stiff competition to it. So has Reliance. Market location tactics. This refers to the market segments where the firm decides to compete. At every price level, there are different products available. Market location could be classified according to the role that firms play in the target market and the types of business tactics they adopt to play such a role. On the basis of the role that firms play in the target market, market location tactics could be of 4 types: leader, challenger, follower, and niches. Generic strategies. Generic strategies involves the basic ideas or plans that the firm embraces in terms of costing, differentiation, and focus. Costing. By offering a low-priced product with similar features that other competitors are offering, can provide a firm major market leadership. In all the steps of its production and marketing process, the firm shaves off costs in order to offer the lowest priced products with comparable advantages to the customers. Differentiation. Differentiated goods and services satisfy the needs of customers through a sustainable competitive advantage. This allows companies to desensitize prices and focus on value that generates a comparatively higher price and a better margin. Focus. The focus strategy is also known as a niche strategy, where an organization can afford neither a wide scope cost leadership or a wide scope differentiation strategy. A niche strategy could be more sustainable. Here, an organization focuses effort and resources on a narrow, defined segment of a market. Summary. A marketing strategy is a process that allows an organization to concentrate its limited resources on the greatest opportunities to increase sales and achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. Operation strategy is the total pattern of decision which shape the long-term capabilities of any type of operations and their contribution to the overall strategy through the reconciliation of market requirements with operation resources. A financial plan is a statement estimating the amount of capital requirements and determining its composition. A strategy used by corporation to reduce the diversity or the overall size of the operation of the company. This strategy is often used in order to cut expenses with the goal of becoming a more financially stable business. Basic approaches to strategic planning that can be adopted by any firm in any market or industry to improve its competitive performance. The 3 fundamental marketing strategies, which though different are not mutually exclusive, are differentiation strategy, focus strategy, and low cost strategy.